Previously on AFTN.
I had no idea for a while there that he actually made dairy products. I didn't know that. And then one day I was in my garage, I saw something like powdered milk or something. It said Saputo on it. I go, what the hell's this? And then I looked it up. I told my wife, we're not buying this stuff anymore. Figure another company that you want to buy.
I think it was in the pre-MLS era. I once went on the South Side Forum and started a thread called Confessions or something. And I was just like, I need to confess, I just bought like a bag of mozzarella Saputo cheese from Costco.
Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. And if you're listening to this show in the podcast, this is episode 305. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And I'm back this week from my sick bed. Not 100%. There's a good chance I might cough all the way through this.
If you could just maybe cough more towards Steve than towards
yeah, because
I got 2 days off.
Yeah, so he's fine. I've had this for 2 weeks, so you might need more than two days off. I was forced to miss my first Whitecaps game since the 2010 season.
You missed Wednesday?
I missed Wednesday because I was still sick.
Oh well, you didn't miss.
No,
we got moved close, more to the center. We had like 50-yard line seats.
Oh,
was that few media?
Yeah.
Was it nice, Steve?
Yeah.
Did you feel special?
Oh, I did.
If you could only see the big smile on Steve's face.
It's fantastic. The only issue was there was a whole row of, and I like him a lot, but Simon Fudge sat right next to me, jammed right next and
that's because you were in his territory.
No, he was on the other side.
Oh, okay.
But it was good. It was a good time.
Well, apart from the game.
We'll
come to. It's going to be a Whitecaps heavy show. We're not going to do too much other stuff this episode. And, well, it's happened. I'm stunned. The Whitecaps season is over. I was full of hope last weekend.
Yeah.
You don't know that because I wasn't on the show, but I was like, 3 wins. We can do this, guys.
Yeah,
3 wins and we're in.
This can actually be the end of season show, even though we've had like 3 or 4 this year.
Yeah, I first one was in April, I believe, yeah.
Oh,
but, the season is officially over. I guess it isn't a surprise the way that things were going, but the way it's just kind of fizzled out. Because, joking aside, there was that element of hope. That 3 wins from the last 3 matches, we were guaranteed a playoff spot. So I did allow myself to think, we could do this. They could really be up for it and get in the playoffs. But instead, the way it's fizzled out, it's just so deflating and disappointing.
Yeah, because they had the lead in one of the games. In this game, they came back from pretty unbelievable deficit. If you take out those first 15 minutes, they got the whole 3 points. So yeah,
today was another clean sheet for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Take out the last half hour on Wednesday, first 15 today, and we're in pole position.
Half hour.
As long as you don't talk about
last half hour, you're right. Yeah.
Basically a whole half.
65th minute.
As long as you don't talk about your queen again or whatever. Man, so disappointing. Like I didn't feel the hope that you felt, Michael.
It was very small,
okay.
and I was under a lot of cold medication.
Okay, well, I didn't have your hope. But I, to be honest, I'm a little surprised at how bad and disappointing things have been since they chose to release Robbo.
We beat Toronto. We beat the MLS champs, the best MLS team of all time.
Yeah, unless
you count the teams that got more points than them this year, but that's another thing.
Well, exactly. That's the classic Whitecaps.
Then it's us
talking out of both sides of your mouth. Where on one day you're saying, "Oh, they're terrible. Their model of building a team is awful," and then the next you say, "Oh, but we beat them. They were the champions last year." It doesn't really work. But
well, I don't know. Because I mentioned this before in the podcast. Scotland beat England in 1967, and we claimed that we were World Cup winners. So I think we are MLS Cup winners by beating Toronto. Yes.
No, not necessarily. If they
first the Stanley Cup.
No. Now you're thinking it has to be in the same year. So if whoever wins the MLS Cup this year, if we beat them,
so Chivas has the MLS Cup. The Goats have. No, seriously though, I've been really disappointed.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of things that that Craig Rimple and his staff, who I do appreciate, especially.
Did you call him Craig Rimple?
Craig Dalrymple.
Oh,
sorry.
that's
if I mispronounced Craig's name, I apologize.
I thought that's all I heard.
There's some guys on his staff who obviously like Steve Meadley, Regan Hall, Rich Fagan. These guys, we've hung out with and watched coach for so many years, and so I really appreciate them. However, there's a lot of decisions that they've made especially on all the games, but especially these last couple that are just, to me, mind-boggling to me. Like that don't make any sense, and we can come to them and maybe as we go through things a little bit. I know we're gonna maybe not break everything down.
No, but there's some things we do have to discuss, and. We've had our fate in our own hands. It's felt since August. I don't know how many times we've kind of said, "Oh, we just need to do this. We just need to do that." Other results then went our way, and then every time we just didn't get the result done. And when Robbo was still here, I'd asked him about that, and he said, "Well, you can say that, but there's times that we did go and get it done.
Yeah.
But when it really mattered down this stretch, we just have not got it done. We have now had 5 losses in our last 6 matches." At this point of the season, no team that goes through a spell like that can have any hope of being in the playoffs. So I mean,
you're proven right.
Yes. What's behind that? Is it simply that this is a squad and a team that isn't good enough, that maybe doesn't have a winning mentality, or does it just go way, way deeper than that?
I think they had moments where they could have been. They showed where they could be good enough, but then it seems like they have moments where they just shut off, and we talked about they're consistently inconsistent, and it's either the highs are the highs or the lows are the lows. There's no middle ground for them, it seems like, and that's what you want from a team. You want to be an even Steven, like going all the way through the season and pick up your points. Yeah, you're sure you're going to drop a game here and there, but you're consistent with your effort and everything like that, especially defending.
Yeah, no. I say this too often, but they haven't been at their levels. Like they haven't played to their potential.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, Rob always talked about if our team plays at the levels, they can compete with anyone, but you can't do that every single week.
No, and so they had too many players who haven't played to their potential throughout the season, but in this last stretch as well. And so it's not surprising that they're in the place they're in.
And honestly, they have had some bad breaks. Like the ball just didn't bounce for them properly sometimes, especially like, for example, that Colorado game. They played really well in that game, and they couldn't. And there was a fluke goal that deflected off a defender, and if you think that's a game they should have won. And they were better than Colorado that night, but they couldn't put the ball in the net.
There's lots of games.
Yeah.
Lots
of games.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, no,
based on, I'm saying based on performance.
Yeah.
Next week, once the season is officially over, we'll spend a section kind of looking at some of the games that got away from them, some of the things that went wrong, and some of the highs, the lows.
Nitpick the season. Yeah. I love those parts.
I don't want to break down the last 2 games too much because there's not much point. Season's done, etc., etc. But I have to have some quick thoughts, first of all, about that KC game. We were undermanned. We were missing 6 regular starters. Now, any team that's going to be missing that amount of players is going to be sort of under the cosh. And yeah, we took the lead, had a bit of hope at half-time. We were not the better team in that first half. KC, if they had had their shooting boots on, could easily have been a couple of goals ahead. But then the capitulation that followed in the last kind of half hour, 25 minutes, half hour of the match, that was just unbelievable. Russell Tybert afterwards let rip, said it was unacceptable, the team gave up. Did you have that feeling after watching it, or was this a team that just wasn't good enough to compete with one of the best teams in the West?
I think there's a few things that were unacceptable that day. One is, to me, it's unacceptable to have a professional footballer play a game on a Tuesday and then be playing on the next day on the Wednesday. That is unacceptable. That should not happen.
It shouldn't, but I was all for it, and I would actually put Fonzie on the bench as well, to be honest.
Okay, well, if you're going to put one player on the bench, it would have been.
And Danilo that hadn't even played as well. You would think,
but
apparently Russell demanded, wanted to be on the bench. I think
so. He makes the decisions now.
They said that after the game that the doctors assessed the players, and they found that Russell was fit enough to go. So it was based on the doctor's decisions.
It's a very brave stroke stupid decision.
No. And in the course of that game, it wasn't just the fact that you brought on and I love Rusty. This is nothing against Rusty.
He also was one of the better players in that last 25 minutes, which is even more frightening.
But so you bring on a player who played the night before the other side of the country, 4.5-5 hour flight away. And the guy you replace him with is a guy who hasn't played in how many weeks? I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks. He hasn't started. He plays an hour, he scores the goal, and you take him off.
And he was up for it.
Yeah. Well, it was mind-boggling.
And then Felipe's not even starting today, and didn't even get into the game. That was mind-boggling.
Today was mind-boggling, but that day again, what they said was about Felipe that he ran himself ragged. And they felt like he didn't have very much more to give, and that's why they took him off. I'm just letting you know what they said.
Yeah, but they also got the backup of it. They also knew they were going to have to answer the question about playing Russell, so they're like, "Oh, the doctor said it's okay." I'm not saying the doctor didn't say it's okay, but it's great to have it fits with who the Whitecaps are as an organization to make sure they have a fall guy for their decisions.
Did you agree with Russell though that the team gave up? I didn't feel that way, I have to say.
I feel like Russell, I think, looking back on it now, I think he was more commentating on the last two goals.
Yeah.
More
possibly.
than the whole...
The last one in particular, they were like...
Yeah, no, and so
point?
I think that really... And everything was in the heat of the moment as well. So I think he was more talking about that. I felt like even leading up to... I think the second goal was scored in the 85th minute or something, if I'm not mistaken.
82nd
minute. Even after that, they showed a little bit of fight trying to get back into the game. And
you're always going to leave yourself then short of the back.
Yeah, so essentially, like I said, I think he was more commentating on the last two goals.
The last two goals, especially the last one, were the effort felt really poor.
Fatigue definitely. It felt that was the contributing factor. These were guys that haven't played a lot of minutes this year, but then again, some of it was due to injury. The likes of Mond, Aha, Much, they've been injured, so they've not had a chance to play much. No pun intended, but
then you had the problem of not being able to substitute Much off because you took off Felipe already for Russell, and then you had Brett cramp again.
Yeah.
So there were so many.
I hope they can get to the bottom of that over.
I feel bad. I feel bad
season,
for him
because if not, we've talked about this before. Love the guy, but you can't keep having that.
That cost them. You have to think that cost them at least one of those goals. The other thing from that game, again, not that we're going through the fine tooth comb, but I know we've talked in the past. Like, okay, here was a chance. Danielle was away. Kendall's away. Where do Mond and Aha stand? I really appreciate Aaron Mond, and I think he is a good piece in an MLS center back squadron.
I don't think he's had a bad season.
No. However, both he and Aha looked shockingly bad each on one of the goals.
Mond was slightly better.
Yeah, I think Aha on the second goal was
the bounce. Yeah, that was really bad.
The Aha second goal was horrendous. He gave up on that. Like that. If there was,
he played the bounce wrong first. He tried to play the man instead of the ball, and got burned very badly.
Yeah.
So I know you were like, oh, who should be here and who should stay, and who should they try or who should they get rid of or whatever. But neither of them.
I'm still for blowing everything up and just getting rid of the vast majority of this squad.
Neither of them cover themselves in glory.
Now, talking about missing 6 starters, everyone knows now that the clubs can choose to play in the international windows. So we chose to play this game in this international window. There was other ones we chose not to.
Yeah.
At this stage of the season, there's every chance that any game at this point is going to be crucial. Why would you want to take that risk?
First of all, the choice should be, I feel the choice should be even taken out of the club's hands. Like MLS should say, no, we're not scheduling somebody to play a day after like a whole bunch of internationals or even during the week, the weekend of it. So I feel like, I think it should be taken out of their hands. But I do agree that this late in the season, big mistake if they did agree to play in it or they were given choices of which ones they can give up and which ones they have to play in. If that was, I don't even know what the scenario is.
So I agree it should be a league thing where the league should say no games during this time, that time, whatever. Totally. I agree with you on that, Steve. This is one place because I don't know all the details, but I do know some of the we do know some of the factors, and so I will give the FO maybe a little bit of a break on this.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Because they don't own their ground, so they're dealing with BC Place availability. And
true.
And they did make decisions at somewhere. They did make a decision like, well, we want that one open. This one we'll see how things go. So we don't know. We don't know if it was, BC Place is booked during these ones and it's not during these ones. We don't know if they're like, hey, we really value this one off. So there, that more means we got to give up this other one. So maybe they just, the ones they took off, they valued more than October, which would sound shocking because it's the end of the season so important. But it was difficult. And so you're right. The 6 starter things, I mean, there's other things from that game that that people have been talking about with the Robinson era in the Whitecaps of putting, for example, square pegs in round holes. And so
we've certainly seen that in the last few games.
Yeah. So you have Eric Hurtado, who I really appreciate his effort and the things he's done for the club. I don't think he should be playing wide in the midfield. No. Maybe in a 4-3-3, 3-4-3, maybe wide as an attacker, but in a 4-2-3-1 as that wide guy, I don't think he's shown his best there. Yeah. And so he's there, and you have Christian Teixeira sitting on the bench.
Well, Teixeira wasn't even on the bench today, didn't even make the 18.
Which says a lot.
And we'll mention this now because there's no point holding on to this to the end of the year, but Teixeira's not back next year. And part of it is negotiations to renew his contract did not start early enough for him. I think he was looking for it in the summer. Club didn't start then. You could say it's another Camilo situation if you want, but so he looks set to move on, and I believe he has something lined up already. Yeah,
and you don't know a couple things. You don't know if the reason they didn't open negotiations was they had no intention of bringing him back. Maybe they just didn't value him enough. Maybe they just wanted to move on.
They certainly made a lot off when he scores. They
win the games. Yeah. Well, that's a lot from
that's a marketing.
That's a PR thing, right? And then the second one is like you were talking about that he's 9-18. It could be that he doesn't want to play right now because he does have a deal lined up and he doesn't want a whole Matthias Laba situation like last year where he gets injured
But if he signed a pre-contract, then it's I think there's covered. But
Dalrymple did mention on Wednesday that he only wants people with him that are going to give everything. And
that might be the clue.
You could read in between the lines there as well.
So what I hear you guys saying is maybe it's kind of you talk about Camilo or whatever, but if you as a football club, this is not like everyone knows how this works.
Yeah.
When you're 6 months out from your deal ending, that's when you can negotiate with other teams, right? Other clubs. So they know his contract situation. Yeah. Again, we know Greg Anderson is in charge of the contracts.
I also want to point out I'm quite happy for him to move on. I didn't want him back next year anyway because he's just too inconsistent.
But I think I wonder if this is more tied into the coaching, them knowing because they knew early. They knew early that they weren't bringing.
Oh yeah.
So I think if they were like, okay, we're not bringing back this coaching staff. We're just not going to deal with this player. He's going to go. His deal's up. Whatever. But
yeah. Talking about passion. Kai Kamara certainly showed some passion after the final whistle on Wednesday, got himself sent off.
Could you see it from where you were, Steve?
I had already gone downstairs, so I missed the whole thing.
Tom has a photo
downstairs
of Johnny Russell shaking the official's hands and Kamara walking towards them. So Pete Shad had tweeted out that apparently Kamara grabbed Russell by the throat.
Right.
Now, Johnny Russell, Scotsman.
Oh, you missed talking to him.
I know. That's how sick I was.
Oh,
I
wow.
gave up chatting to my bestie Johnny. But you have to feel that maybe something was said, and knowing what Scottish humour would be like, he maybe said something that just pushed Kai over the edge. But do you blame Kai for that? He's a veteran. Should he keep his head, or was it just...
Well, I mean, again, earlier this season, if that had happened, Kai would have been held responsible, but also everyone would be saying, "Oh, the coaches, they can't discipline their own team, or they can't keep their own team disciplined, or whatever." But no one's,
No, I give him a break in this one because he's done so much for us this year.
Yeah, he's been.
he gave up a trip to Los Angeles. Too.
Yeah,
he could have.
I do feel though that he was lucky not to get a 2-game ban. If he did grab him by the throat, surely that's violent conduct.
We were texting about this. I really think I don't have no basis for this, but I would not be surprised if the truth behind this is that MLS knows that this is a last game for the Whitecaps at home. It's a big game, and they want to sell tickets. And
could be Kamara's last one.
Could be Kamara's last one. It's Alfonso's last one for sure. And this is a game, as you and I were messaging Michael. This is a game you have to think that the FO is all about projections and stuff, and you have to think that when they were sitting down and planning the year, they projected this as probably at least a lower bowl sellout.
Yeah.
Like it's a last game, it's Portland, Cascadia Cup could be in play, which it's not. Playoffs could be in play, which is not. Seeding could be in play, which is not. But you have
it's for Portland.
It is for Portland, sorry, yeah. So you have to think they would have thought, hey, this is a game we can do more than 22-2 or whatever their number is.
Yeah. I mean, Tiber said we would see more fight, and you wouldn't see a team give up like that again today. Now, the first 15 minutes,
it looked like it wasn't going to be.
It looked like those words were not going to do much. But immense credit to that Whitecaps team. They did not put their heads down. They did not give up. They fought to the very end. And I mean, we've seen teams give up this season. Before. I just think that was a fantastic performance.
Is that why you're wearing that shirt, Steve?
Oh, no. Well,
Goonies never say die.
Say die?
Yeah, I don't know. Or day, if they're Welsh.
But here's the thing. Okay, sure, they didn't go up. They fought back. But ultimately, they did die. The season died today.
Yes.
Right? So
the season died on Wednesday. They were never going to get...
No. Like, officially, it was a slow death, sure. But, like...
But I mean, they went into
flatlined today.
Yeah,
at
but
the that final whistle.
The playoffs were done heading into the game today, so it would have been so easy for those guys just to think, we're 2 down. So I mean, I think that was great. But where was this fight when we needed it?
Yeah.
The games this 5 games that we've lost out of 6. Oh, sorry, it's 4 games out of 6 because we drew today.
Yeah. Feels like loss.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what was going through my head when I wrote that. But where was the fight then? These games when we really needed it. Why show the fight when it didn't matter? Were they playing for contracts? Have to think most of them know.
I think that everybody knows who's, like, not the players themselves, but everybody in the front office already made a decision. They were playing against their potential new head coach on the other side.
No, I mean, you were saying Eric Cartaro, he shouldn't be playing out wide. I would then add to that, Breck Shea, he shouldn't be playing. And I've no other words to finish that sentence. How did he get another start today?
After Wednesday?
Well, clearly there's no minutes thing in the contract this year, so we don't have to worry about that.
Were they showcasing him?
No, his deal's, that's my understanding, his deal's up. But
that was another head scratcher when I saw that come
maybe
out.
they just thought, we're paying him a lot of money, we should play him. But yeah, no, I agree with you. And if you were gonna play Eric on the wing, why not play him on the wing today for Shea and put Blondell up front?
Yeah. Well, that last thing for this segment. We've got 1 game left. I thought Much looked good today. Cracking goal. Up there for...
Cracking goal / dodgy
keeper
keeping.
Could have done better,
You know, my first thought was like, wow. And then
when you watch it again, you're like, well, Tyler Miller went down really early.
Yeah, he didn't get a strong hand to that.
We got to see Blondell. I forgot what he looked like.
Yeah. It'll win goal of the week as long as they don't show a replay. They show it in full motion.
But the Goats backline did really shackle Blondell.
Yes. Yeah, Blundell did nothing in the time that he was on. Missed that one ball that came across goal. So what do we do for the last game against Portland now? Do we put a strong lineup out to finish the season, send the fans home in high spirits, beat a local rival, maybe screw over their playoff positioning? Or do we give minutes to, like, does Sean Melvin get a start, his first MLS start?
I wish, but
No,
that's
do
not
we,
going to
do we
happen.
see
I
Simon
think-
Coleman
I
off
would.
the bench?
I would love for Sean Melvin to start this game.
I think
it's never going to happen.
I think they put the strongest 11 that
Yeah.
want to play.
I want to play.
No, I mean of the
I'm not
people
signed, I don't have a
signed
contract
MLS
yet.
contracts.
Part of me wonders if, and I'm sure we won't ever get the full truth of this, but if in the Alfonso deal, if there's something like he can play as long as games are meaningful.
No, I think he'll play.
Oh, I think he'll play, but
Yeah,
I
for
wonder.
sure.
If,
He's a Whitecap to the end of the year. I'd have
Yeah.
him playing at U19s with the residency.
Yeah.
Get some wins under the belt. That's just me, though. Anyway, we will be back with some more Whitecaps chat after this.
Hi, I'm Alfonso Davies, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Reflected in the water when all the rainy pavements lead to you. It's over now. I know it's over.
Just taking the mood down a little bit there. Scottish band, the Blue Nile. It's over now. I know it's over now, but I can't let go.
so saddening, Michael.
Yeah.
Hey-
I've been quite down with my cold.
Oh yeah. Hey, Michael, I have a question for you that might be more exciting for you.
Okay.
Do you fancy a chocolate digestive?
I always fancy a chocolate digestive. I have an unchocolate one with me today. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
And you-
I know you listen
you
to.
haven't-
I know
you
you
haven't
listen to.
opened them?
No, I wanted to respect you.
Oh.
And you know, I know you listened to last week's show
I did.
because you posted it. But these are the McVitie's digestive nibbles. McVitie's, sorry, the digestives nibbles caramel flavor.
I've
from
not tried those.
from friend of the show,
Will Silver.
Will Silver.
Hi ho, Silver away.
He's a magpie, so any joy you can bring to his life is much
Most of my
appreciated.
friends in Scotland were Sunderland fans, so yeah.
So we can't open these obviously here, but
No, but thank you so much, Will, and thank you for
I
bringing
brought
them.
this so we could.
He
divide
brought a
them.
baggie, yeah.
so
We'll
we
get
divide
them. We'll make sure that Steve gets his fair share.
He was really apologetic about. He's like, tell Steve I'm really sorry.
I'm used to disappointment.
I shouldn't have eaten my non-chocolate one. I could have given that to Steve, just so he felt part of it.
I don't know if you want to eat it after you put it in the thing because you're not well.
Oh yeah, that's true. I did handle it. Anyway, you are listening to the AFTN Chocolate Show on CITR Radio, broadcasting on 101.9 FM. So, let's bring the mood up a little bit. Where did it all go wrong this season for the Whitecaps? This part will last 5 hours and is part one of a 24-part series.
I'm going to start off and say the number one thing was the midfield, just overall. It goes a little. Obviously, it also includes the lack of being able to spend on that midfield. They weren't able to. I felt like they had a solid back line going into the year. Into this year, I thought they had good attacking, but that midfield was going to be the key, and it just wasn't improved enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who feel like we've never gotten the midfield right any year in MLS, right? Like
A small window when Pedro Morales was really passing it around, but other than that, no, I agree with you there.
That first Pedro season was great.
First half, yeah. Was it half? No.
He played more than a half.
Okay.
well, the first year
so he played a year and a half
Yeah.
straight. That's what I meant to say.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm thinking of. Yeah. No, I think that's a fair shout. The midfield pieces they brought in, both at the end of last year and this year, haven't really gelled together, and never. Like even right now, if we went around and said, "Hey, who would you start as 2 or 3 guys in the heart of the Whitecaps midfield, I think none of us. I don't think we would have the same answer necessarily.
No,
And
a lot depends on the formation.
True.
But you also
We've tried them all this year, didn't they? The Whitecaps tried them all this year, didn't they?
I don't think they tried a 4-4-2 diamond.
No, there was a diamond one game, wasn't there?
I think we might have.
Oh, is there?
I think there was this
We'll
year.
have to go through it and see exactly what the formation
We'll have our bingo card and see. I want to see more experimenting with 3 at the back, 'cause that's so much entertainment.
Did we do it this year or just last year in the snow?
No, we did it this year.
We
as
did
well.
this year.
game? Which
It
game was that?
didn't go well. It's all a blur.
I blocked it
I
out.
can't remember, but I'm pretty sure we went 3 at the back one of the games.
From the start?
I don't know.
If you remember, tweet us at AFTN Canada.
Yeah. I mean, the building of the squad in the off-season. Now, hindsight is obviously a great thing.
Yes.
Now, at the time, it looked, and Robo talked about this, was his best squad he's had in the MLS era, his strongest depth. These were guys like Efi Juarez that's played in a World Cup. You're adding Felipe, who's one of the best midfielders in MLS in certain seasons. And
he had his best statistic year.
yeah, he had his best statistic year here, believe it or not.
A lot of people aren't going to believe that, even though it's clear he did.
Kai Kamara had his second best ever season in MLS. In terms of goals. So, I mean, Kamara was clearly the best addition. Who would you say was the next best addition in the off-season?
Can I answer for Steve?
I know who he has down the bottom.
Okay, does anyone disagree?
That Kamara's the top?
No, who the bottom is.
Well, yeah, right. Let's get to that then as well.
Oh, you want to do top first?
Yeah, MLS are going to be doing, because I think Matt Doyle tweeted it out, that they're doing a...
Stop, you could just like, don't follow him. Why would you follow him?
I have to.
Oh.
It's in my contract.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
They're doing a first and second 11 of the worst additions that clubs have made this season. That's got to be Whitecaps heavy. You've got to feel...
Oh, no, there's some other teams that didn't do well.
Or we're just...
San
we're
Jose and
just
Colorado
myopic.
might be in there as well, but yeah.
Are you saying Declan Wynn's going to be good? Because that could be a Whitecaps.
Oh, maybe. So, do you want to start with it? Let's start with it. Let's finish on a point.
Yeah.
So let's start with the worst then. Who's your 3-2-1 as the third worst, second worst, and worst additions? And why?
Okay, the number one in that
Is Juarez.
is it?
Based
I
on
have to agree with
based
that.
on how he was sold to everybody too.
Well, actually, wait. I have another one. Actually, because technically it's not an addition, but it was in a sense. It's got to be Breck Shea.
No, you can't class him as an addition.
Okay,
He was a re-signing.
he was an option taken by mistake.
Just talking about football players.
Breck is a lovely person.
He is.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
His paintings are...
Well, his paintings.
Anyway. So
he's a really good golfer, I've heard.
all that really helps when he's on the pitch. So if Efi Juarez was the worst addition of this season, my other two, I'm going to throw Anthony Blondell for me in
I
there,
would put
probably
there.
as
Number
second
two?
worst.
Okay.
Yeah, just
I was
because
trying to think of who
we
the third
spent
would
a
be.
transfer thing on him, and I want to ask.
And yet he still beats Juarez. Like Juarez is still bottom.
Yeah,
Okay.
he got a goal and didn't get sent off. And to be fair to him, he was not set up to succeed in the early part of this season.
That's fair.
But every single game he seemed to start, someone got sent off.
But
And then
remember,
he got subbed off.
we also don't know the off-field stuff that go on in
No.
an MLS season
But
that
I mean, you would
impact
hope
a
he
player.
would maybe arrest
yeah.
the slide or do something.
Yeah.
He could have done better. And I want to ask Bobby, was that a bust of a signing?
Yeah.
Or
Well, he's going to say yes because
is he though?
Oh yeah, he's
I
going
don't
to.
know.
They're going to pin it on. This was their whole plan. This is their whole plan. You blame everything on the guy you're getting rid of. This is how they. This is modus operandi. Like this is not rocket science. Well, and why wouldn't you? Like I don't think most people will blame them for that.
Well, no, it's like I blame everything that goes wrong on Steve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
He doesn't.
But
Oh, so who's number 3 then?
see, that's a
See,
tough
I would
one.
I would put it just thinking off the top of my head. Could be Jose Aja. Just because they did spend quite a bit of gam or tam, whatever the hell it was, on him.
And was he actually the Tim Parker replacement, or was he coming in anyway?
He was brought in to replace Parker.
Right.
At the
But
time.
it was before Parker had gone. But by that
Right,
point,
right.
they knew Parker was going.
Yeah.
And the other one would be probably for me Jordan Much Only not because of his play, but because he was often
made it
injured, and it was
last,
just disappointing. And again, he was built up to be.
I have Daniil hovering around my top 5.
No, I wouldn't put him there because I think he's had bad moments, but overall he's been pretty solid.
It's hard not to see that own goal when I close my eyes. But
But for Jordan Much, for example, Juarez and Much, if one of them hit, this is a playoff team.
Well, Juarez did hit. It was a referee.
I mean, hit on the field, like been a hit on the field.
Okay.
I think you got the clip for next week's show right there. Those are some good shouts. I keep on seeing these people talk on social media about Much being like, yeah, we should really bring him back next year.
No,
or
he definitely
like,
should not be brought back.
If he could stay healthy, I honestly would.
But
Because
there's
I've
no way.
liked what
We've
he's
talked about
done.
this before. There's no way they can afford him.
No.
Well, and I, as I've pointed out, who's going to want him? You might get him on a cut price deal.
No, not on this. The salary would be.
He's not cutting his salary.
The salary would be DP level in the echelon that they don't care to hang out in.
Well, that goal that he got today's probably helped him at least land a championship club in England. He can just show them that.
And he'll be like, oh, you play on grass? I'm there.
Yeah. See how well he does in grass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are a fair shout for the bottom 3.
I think I would maybe go Aha then 3, just because I liked Much. But I do like Aha.
Wait, are there any other candidates I'm not thinking of? Because
I know.
Aha,
well,
I just think
Felipe.
Justin
again,
Fittis.
who had 6 assists and a goal or 2, and
I definitely wouldn't put him in my top
Justin
5.
Fittis.
there you go.
If you want to look at the draft picks in general,
Yeah, they were horrendous.
Maybe a good job we don't have a first round draft pick next year, because we screwed the draft up big time this year. They were horrendous picks.
Was Koch giving bad information as he? Oh, that was the year before.
Yeah, no,
was
Koch had gone.
Koch had gone. That might be the problem.
Yeah, watch to see how well he does next year. We'll talk about Cincinnati in the next part.
See, when I think Aha, my first thought of this year is that goal, the free kick where Kendall set him up. Do you remember that nice goal he scored?
See, I think he's had a good season. That's why
I don't know if I'd use good.
Oh yeah,
But
okay.
he hasn't been bad or horrible or anything.
I mean, other additions were the likes of Sean Franklin, but
I don't mind him.
Sean Franklin.
He did what he was brought in to do.
When Jake struggled a little bit, Sean was able to come in, and he didn't do it for a full season because I don't think he's good enough to do that now. But he did put in a solid effort when they needed him.
You had like Meyer Bevan, but he didn't get a fair crack, and he was loaned out anyway. Another loan deal that didn't go fantastic. David Norman got, and you guys didn't mention this last week, David Norman got to set foot on East Fife's pitch last Saturday. Didn't play, was on the bench, but he got to warm up.
I don't know how it slipped our minds.
Yeah. Did you know if he played this weekend?
I didn't check this weekend.
Oh, okay.
East Fife, though, are on an 8-game unbeaten streak.
He's got
8-game winning streak, actually. First time since 1961.
Dave's got some visitors over there watching, or hanging out and watching. So I hope he gets to play.
Yeah, but yeah, if you look at the best additions in outside of Kamara, is there anyone that you would class as being a great addition? Because that's then you'd struggle with that as well.
Well, I think
I would
Felipe
honestly classify Felipe, especially early in the year. He played well when they changed his position and played him deeper. He struggled
and
mightily.
I would possibly have Aha then as the third. So it's like it's
fine
weird.
lines.
Yeah, very fine lines. Now,
I would actually put. You know who I would actually put as the third, and Zach's not going to agree with this for sure, 100%. But I'd say Brian Rowe. Because when Radovich went down, Moreau wasn't that bad. He kept the 2-goal average that they had for the whole year.
Consistent.
Anyways. Yeah.
That's all you want from a goalkeeper.
Rowe is a really great dude. Like if you've hung out with him, I got to hang out with him a little bit. He's a he's a great dude.
So I would actually put him as the third best.
I felt bad for him in a lot of the goals that went past him, because a lot of them he couldn't do anything. There were some maybe you could argue if he was a few inches taller or whatever, but like there was a number where it was just like
QBK.
Well,
what's that?
Queen Balls King.
Oh man,
that brings us nicely to the defence then, which has obviously been a nightmare. Tiber mentioned that the club's identity this season was that it was to be a team that scored more goals than they conceded, which is obviously what every team is aiming to do, but that's got to get you success if you pull it off. If you don't pull it off, you end up with a season like this where you're giving goals up.
I think that's being slightly selective of his words. Now, I might be misremembering his words as well, but I think he used the term things like play on the counter,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. And maybe he didn't say it explicitly, but if you're going to be a team that plays on the counter, that has to be based off being solid defensively first.
Yes.
Because you can't play off the counter if you're terrible at defending. And to be fair, last year wasn't amazing, but it was an okay year. With the number goals against.
Well, yeah, and like a lot of folk have said, it's because they let Tim Parker go. How much weight do you put in the defence being so bad this year with Parker going?
I honestly
don't put a lot of stock in it
because the New York Red Bulls, only because Robles is there. I think he's faced a lot of shots. And I don't know how
he's an
solid
okay defender.
Yeah, he's solid.
He's solid. He's a good MLS defender. He's not a difference maker.
And I still say the midfield was the reason why they gave up so many goals. I still stand by that.
I agree with you. The midfield was part of the problem. I would disagree with you, Michael, in terms of Tim Parker. And I think this is not a statistic thing. This is not a here, let's point to all these stats and whatever. Or here's some empirical evidence. You can deduce that he's great or terrible or whatever. I think a lot of it is to do with like the chemistry that he had with Kendall Waston and how they played together, how they complemented each other well. I think that was a big part of it. The other thing, and this is what goes in also in the intangibles category. With these kind of situations that you've looked at that they've had with the Vancouver Whitecaps, you look at going back to things like Camilo, which we've already mentioned tonight. You look at Tim Parker. There have been others. Alain Rochat is one of the ones we like to talk
Yes.
about. Who's now enjoying retirement. But you look at some of these things, and there is an intangible impact on the psyche or the mentality of the squad when they know that their teammate and or friend is being messed around with, and that impacts things. Now, should that impact the whole season? No, it shouldn't impact the whole season.
No, and
but
chemistry is a big thing,
totally,
as you mentioned.
But I think it impacted things at the beginning of the year. One, that the deal to move him happened so late, and then didn't allow gelling. If it happened like in January or something, I think things could have been different. But I think, one, when it happened, and two, how it happened, which I think maybe we'll talk about more in depth another time. But I think that played a role. Didn't help things. Didn't help things to get things off onto a good start. And
I also probably didn't help that our centre backs all had injuries apart from Kendall, and Kendall was away a lot on international duty.
Yeah.
So getting the chemistry going there, something just popped into my head as you were talking there. I'm revising my 3-2-1.
On the
of
top
worst
or bottom?
additions. Number 3 now, I might put Anthony Blondell. And number 2, Marvin Emnes.
Oh, that wasn't really an addition.
He's got injured, so he's not going to see a minute on the pitch.
I like his hair.
I wouldn't even classify that as number 2. I think
It just popped into me there because
so he can't play on next week, right?
if he gets healthy, he can, but it's not looking likely. Him, De Jong, and Juarez are all injured.
That's why Juarez wasn't. That's what I was going to ask you actually. But so Juarez wasn't available for Wednesday.
Well, he got injured on the 16th, I think it said in the injury report. So yeah.
Wait. Was that an injury or an injury?
I think it was an injury.
Oh, okay. Air quotes don't translate well on.
Do you take any consolation that the Whitecaps took it down to the last 2 matches of the season? I had to ask that.
Why?
I don't know. It's just... would it have been better if by September we were like Colorado or San Jose, that's it over? And then it gives you time to build.
From a footballing perspective, I think it would have been. Those clubs have... You might have seen some of those young players play.
Yeah.
But...
yeah, because you wouldn't have loaned them out.
It would have been bad for everything else the Whitecaps do.
Using the word consolation was maybe a bad one, but it's like, is it better or worse that we
for
made
the
a
future.
go of it? In some ways, I though find it frustrating because we're that close to making it into the playoffs.
No,
because
but
we took it down at the second last game.
But that's how the Whitecaps will keep making money.
Yeah,
Is by
but we've always been borderline.
We're so close. We're not that far off. Just stay with us.
Yeah. Won't
Keep
take
giving
much
us
to
your
turn
money.
this
Keep giving us your
around.
money so we can, keep doing this. The problem for them is, I think too many people have surmised their approach, like have deduced their approach, and are not happy with it. Whether they would admit to that or not, I think that's one of the problems they're having.
If you look at some of the points that were lost this year, and we'll go over it in more detail next week, as I said, of specific games and stuff like that, but our home record was 6 wins, 5 losses, 5 draws. Now, that's shocking.
It's appalling.
We let 25 points slip away at home. We've still got 1 game to go. Totally unacceptable, to use Russell Tybert's words. Not with regards to that, but just in general. The 4th worst wins total at home in all of MLS.
This year you're talking about?
This year, yeah. You're never going to be a playoff team
Now,
if you're putting up figures like that.
The thing is, I've always said that if, for example, if you go into a season, you win all your home games, and if you drop any points at home, you got to make them up on the road.
Yeah,
they were only able to make up. They did pick up 21 points on the road, which is actually pretty good. But they weren't obviously able to make up those 4 points they lost. If they make up those 4 points, imagine adding 4 points to your current thing right now, and you're actually still in the playoff race.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the frustrating aspects.
Yeah, you got to make up if any point. But the thing is, that's too many points to give up at home.
Yeah.
That's way too many. And if you take out like 3 of those losses, make them into draws. Take out 3 of those draws, make them to lost wins. You're way up there in the standings.
It's one of the reminders of one of the strengths of the Carl Robinson era is he has an incredible record on the road.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah, it was the home record in most seasons that did them in.
Well, what do you put that down to then? Are we just too
terrible
predictable?
terrible pitch?
Yeah, the pitch.
Not.
Yeah, but the other team's got to come and play.
The environment
on
not being hostile enough.
Does the way that we play make this team dangerous on the road, but not conducive of being dangerous at home? Because then we're playing teams that are kind of playing how we're playing, and we're
you saw that a lot of teams this year that they were just giving up possession at home. When they came to BC Place, they were giving up possession to the Whitecaps and making them carry.
Yeah, who were unable to break them down.
Yeah.
So that's something they definitely really, really need to work on.
But again, it goes back to, and I think we talked about this last week, Steve. We've talked about it in the past. Is you need to have an identity. I think if you had a reasonable, makes sense identity, people could get behind. I think that some of these things are not as big issues.
Does it feel like the gap is widening? I mean, we're close to making the playoffs, but the top teams, the Atlantas, LAFC, Kansas City, Dallas in the West, does it feel that gap is widening? Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if we talked about this on a previous show, but this you look at the spending. You got with this kind of stuff, you got to follow the money spent on players, and the Whitecaps were whatever. They went from 9th to 16th in the table as of the middle of this season. But if you actually look at where they're at after teams spent money in the middle of the season, there are 4 or 5 teams that passed them.
19th, I think we fell to or something.
I think 20th.
Even worse than
the thing is I think if they're going to spend money, be it the middle or bottom, whatever they are, if they're going to spend that much, they got to spend it wisely, and they can't bring in, for example, an older players to play in that. They gotta go and take chances and bring in some young players that have more dynamic ability, who are hungry to go on to another level instead of.
But this is a problem, Steve, is they have not been willing to spend monies on players of that quality.
No, I'm saying bring young players so they're hungry or something like that, or just make better decisions with the way you.
The younger a player is, the more he costs.
Yeah, well,
in terms of his value, in terms of a transfer.
We obviously have some Davies money.
Loan some players in like they did before. They used to do that quite a bit.
Like Jordan Much.
Not Jordan Much, like Sebastian Fernandez. They did that one year. They loaned him in instead of, and he actually performed really well that year. Sure, he again hit somebody at the end.
He hit a referee as well.
Yeah, he hit a referee. It didn't come back after that, but that's fine.
That must have been the coach's fault, though.
Yeah,
definitely. So we are going to have money. We don't know who's going to spend it yet. It has all gone quiet on the new manager front. There's no new rumours popping up. So
they're still waiting for the resumes coming all over the world.
Does everything point to a done deal with MDS? Important not to get MBS because of everything that's going on in Saudi Arabia just now. So we'll stick with MDS, which reminds me of MDF, as if we're DIY and we're just
going all over the place.
We're just building a new team. So I wonder what he made of the... I jokingly tweeted out, I wonder what he was thinking after the first 15 minutes. But hopefully he then watched that team and thought, this is a team that's got some fighting spirit. I can do something with that.
Too bad they're all going to be gone.
Yeah,
But
surely
the
he's
thing
going to
is,
relish rebuilding another expansion
I
team.
disagree with you. I think any coach that wants to be a solid coach will, if they don't have any other offers, they will take a shot at being, at that level.
He gets to build the club
The way he
wants
wants. Well, hopefully the way he wants.
I think the quietness means one of two things. A deal is done, because unlike what they've said publicly, they've been planning this for a long time. Two, or they don't know what they're doing, which would not be surprising also.
We know a song about that. Anyway, we'll be back with more chat after this.
Hi, I'm Jordan Much, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I feel like shit. I met a man called Terry. He told me a joke. The punchline was dirty, and he was a dirty bloke. I handed him $1 so he would go away. He shook my hand and wished me well and went about his day. The people that you meet walking down the street, the people that you meet walking down the street, the stories that you share remaining in your chair, the people that you meet walking down the street.
The people that you meet walking down the street. Isn't that right, Steve?
Yeah, it's awesome. Good song.
Anyone met anyone interesting this week?
Not really. I met. I not really. No, nobody in particular.
There's someone I see like on a weekly basis that I want to have a
Oh,
conversation
yeah, I saw
with.
Matt Sakaris at the Whitecaps game.
Oh.
He was there for the first half.
In the booth? In the
Yeah, in the press room.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, there's someone I want to talk to, but I see them a couple times a week.
What's her name?
It's not a her.
Oh, okay.
I think I told you about it. He's a
Oh, yeah.
former footballer dude.
So, Slaves.
Oh, the song.
Yeah,
The group.
yeah, the group. That was Slaves and People That You Meet. You are listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM. So in this part, we're just going to go through some MLS, USL, Canada chat. I was going to do CPL in this as well, but I think we'll keep that for when we do the headlines, because there's
There's
a
only
few things in
hardly
there.
any headlines today.
Yeah, I know.
That's why we'll include it in that as well. So
I thought he'd do the top part. I wasn't sure how long he'd be able to last,
Oh,
so
right.
I thought I'd keep it short.
I'm like that
all
all the
for
time.
Michael.
Yeah.
Talk about being slaves.
Got a couple of tweets I'll just quickly read
Ooh,
out.
Twitter.
Yeah, I love Twitter. Caleb Wilkins wanted to know, what are we most excited about for the 2019 season?
CPL.
Seen how Alan
how about
does with
MLS?
FC Cincinnati.
In MLS?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah,
nothing right
FC Cincinnati.
now. Yeah. No, I see Canadian Premier League is what 2019 is about.
I'm looking forward to seeing our three big name DPs.
For Alan Koch?
No, at the Whitecaps.
Oh, okay.
We nearly had one this summer, or this off-season. We got the chance to sign John Terry, but we didn't. Will we get someone else of that caliber?
This Michael's comedy hour. Oh, man.
CD Pryor on Twitter says that he is most excited about hopefully a few quality DPs and a manager not afraid to provide opportunities to homegrown players like Verhoeven, Baldissimo, Norman.
So again, that's like a club thing. If they don't, if they just, if it has to be, the manager has to be backed and know that he can do that without the risk of losing his job. And I don't think any of the managers have felt that way, and that's why you haven't seen that to the extent that I think some people want. And again, it has to do with identity. So it's nice that the Whitecaps like to talk about it a lot, but their actions don't back up their talk.
Murray Lynn sent us a tweet saying about today, 2 goals set up by Alphonso Davies. The first was a brilliant single-hand effort to force the penalty. The second was a tremendous effort to attack.
Work ethic.
We never talked about that in the first part.
It was the back heel, right?
Well, not just that, but he went through it like a knife through butter, lost the ball, won it back right away, and then the beautiful back heel to Eric that set everything up. That was just fantastic. So Murray poses the question, how many Caps fans are planning on moving to Munich to sling beer and sell lederhosen just because? You would do that.
I would do that if my kids were older. Well, my kids older, maybe. I'd love to retire in Munich or live in Munich for a year.
Yeah,
that would be really awesome.
Last tweet for now, John O'Flynn. He's listening from the city of North Van, and he wants to give us a shout out.
He's your favourite guy.
Yeah, for providing great commentary. He said North Vancouver FC are having their club day next Sunday at Whitecaps Timbers, where they're encouraging everyone to wear red. For their club, the West Vancouver North Vancouver guys.
You got to wear black because the season is dead.
There we go.
I actually got one tweet from former reporter Bruce Constantino.
Bruce.
Yeah, owners. He tweeted this out after the game. Owners paid, and he actually tweeted to the Whitecaps too. He added them. Owners paid $30 million for a franchise fee, now worth $150 million, probably more. The team's best players leaving. Surely it's time to spend serious money on a game-changing DP and a strong supporting cast. 8 MLS seasons and not one serious playoff round. Not good enough.
Bruce is an awesome
well
dude.
said, yeah.
I miss Bruce.
Yeah. Let's have a little bit of MLS chat then to continue this part. We'll look at both East and West just very quickly. In the West, LAFC, when they went 2 goals up in the first 50 minutes, they were top of the West.
Oh, did you have the live standings
up?
Ooh.
Just for something to do. Then KC struck 3 goals. Saloy, Espinoza, and my bestie Johnny Russell. Penalty to make it 3-0 win over Dallas.
In Texas, too.
Yeah, now that's dropped the Texans to 3rd.
Yeah.
But LAFC have moved up to 2nd. They play KC next week.
KC.
Yeah, that's
which I think that's.
Did you see the picture he said?
Yeah, John O'Flynn's picture. Check that out on our tweet. But yeah, that's going to be a cracking match.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm thinking I know this probably the Eastern teams are much tougher, but my pick for Kansas City to win the MLS Cup is looking good right now based on the way they're playing.
You didn't rate LAFC. You didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, I believe.
I thought that they would go back to the median, but I guess the star players have turned out.
Yeah. Dallas do have a lifeline.
I always believed in the GOATs.
I thought they'd definitely be playoffs. I did not think they'd have the record-breaking season that they've had. Dallas have a lifeline, though, because LAFC and KC are meeting. Dallas are travelling to Colorado, so you have to think there's a good chance they're going to get 3 points from that.
Yeah.
So LAFC, KC, one of them's likely not to then be in the top 2. So, still all to play for in the West, and we could end up with an LA derby.
I would like that, and then get a Cascadian derby too.
Yeah,
that'd be a great first round.
That would be a great.
That's one that I might actually tune into.
Yeah, that
because I usually don't tune in.
Are we going to go to any of those?
I might actually. I don't know.
Let me know if you want to take me with you.
Well, it depends because it could be our wedding anniversary. Not you and me. But Halloween is my wedding anniversary.
Oh yeah. I can't do that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You got family.
Yeah. That's the night.
I got to work that night.
It's the night I put the willies up my wife, scaring her for Halloween. But going on very quickly. Yeah, that is setting up to be a fantastic round. If LAFC don't get past the Galaxy, that would mean Mark DeSantos is going to be available early. So that would maybe give the Whitecaps a little bit of a head start. For very selfish reasons, I kind of want LAFC to get the first round bye, because if he was to arrive the next week and be introduced, I wouldn't be able to be here to get it. So that's just me.
So in order for LA Galaxy to make the playoffs, the RSL's done. They've got their points, the 49 points. They're set.
Well, done as in their season.
Season is no more games. Yeah. LA Galaxy, they are hosting, I believe, Houston, and Houston's kind of been here and there, and I don't think any of those guys are going to really show up to the game. Well, they'll show up, but they're not really going to put that much of an effort.
Yeah,
so I think it could be. If a Galaxy dropped this, it would be the biggest disappointment of the year for sure.
Yeah.
So I expect the Galaxy to grab 6th spot in there. I think they can't catch Portland. Portland is definitely in 5th. and Seattle can still catch FC Dallas if the FC Dallas does lay a stinker in Colorado, but I don't think that's going to happen either. And obviously, like you said, if Kansas City beats loses to Sporting and Seattle wins their last game, Seattle can actually pass LAFC too.
Yeah.
So it could be Seattle versus the Galaxy and Portland versus
which would be very
LAFC.
disappointing.
Yeah.
Now the East, the battles for the Supporters' Shield goes right down to the wire. Atlanta's on 69 points and they're heading to Toronto.
Giggity.
Red Bulls 68. They're hosting Orlando. So you have to feel it's Atlanta's to lose, but they probably do have the tougher of the two matches.
But Toronto really isn't. I don't know how much effort they're going to put in either.
Well, they want to finish the season on a bang like you would think we would as well. Atlanta, though, today they drew 71,812 supporters.
That's it?
Small amount. I think that's like East Fife for a season over 10 years. That set a single season total home attendance of 901,033. That is phenomenal.
Was the Flounders?
Yeah, base Seattle. They're the first team in MLS history to average more than 50,000 fans per game as well for the entire season at 53,002. So, I mean, they're doing wonderful stuff down there. And it's got rewarded on the pitch. You've got some clubs like Orlando were drawing well, but weren't doing it on the pitch. Atlanta's doing it in the stands and on the pitch. I mean, that's...
It'll be interesting to see how much their season ticket increase thing plays a role next year. But, yeah, good. They did a number of things right. We'll see if they can keep it up.
A few other playoff positions are still up to get answered in the East. The big one, though, from a kind of Canadian and Vancouver perspective is Montreal. I think barring some kind of massive goal fest for everything, Montreal probably have secured top seeding
next year.
No, actually, we could still beat Portland and they could lose. And
Yeah.
We could still get top seed, but we don't know that that's how it's going to be. I was thinking about that today.
He's talking about the Voyageurs Cup.
Sorry, the seeding for the Canadian Championship Voyageurs Cup.
Yeah, Vancouver can still get it.
Yeah, because we got the draw today. Because I'd written that note when I thought we had lost.
But they can't win in Montreal draw. It has to be a win and a loss for Montreal.
Do we think, though, that they will seed the Canadian Championship next year?
Or do you think it'll be a random draw?
Yeah, I was thinking about it because they're not kind of going to want to maybe say, oh, the MLS teams, they're better than our CPL teams. And then if you've got to look who's going to be in it. So you've got the 3 MLS teams. You've got the 8, hopefully, CPL teams. So you're up to 11. You've got the League One and the Quebec winners. So you're up to 13. Ottawa Fury maybe are playing next year. So that would be 14 if they are.
Then
do you seed the top 2 MLS teams so we would get a first round bye?
It's going to be something like that. I have a feeling there will be some buys in there somewhere. I don't think they'll be able to get to 16. Maybe they do a qualifying where the top certain amount of CPL teams make it to the main draw. I don't know. I have no idea how they're going to do it.
Could maybe look at adding PDL, get TSS Rovers in there, or there had been talk before the Challenge Trophy winners, which would be BCT Rovers Tigers from Surrey.
Right.
So that would be an interesting one if they were in. They could play the Whitecaps. Come on, Rovers Tigers.
We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what format they choose to go with and all that kind of stuff. One of the things I think they need to be careful with is I honestly, and I don't like how it's kind of been kept this way in the States. And I understand the cost part of it is an important thing, but I don't like how so much of the tournament is regionalized in the States.
I hate it.
And I think they're going to do that in Canada because of the cost. But ultimately in Canada, I think if they do it for a year or two, maybe the beginning of the Canadian Premier League, maybe that's fine. But long term,
it benefits the Whitecaps as well because we'll be obviously the top seed in the West.
Yeah, but long term, they need to, I think, move. Their goal needs to be like an open draw cup. So
yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
It doesn't matter if you're an MLS team. It doesn't matter if you're a Canadian Premier League team. It should be these are the teams that are in, and it's an open draw. So you could end up as a home team. You could end up as the away team. You could end up with Halifax in the first round if you're Victoria or Van Island, whatever. That is what the cup is. I think all about the dream. Like the dream of the cup is all about.
I've got to tell you this. It's another East Fife story, but this is just bizarre. This year, the Iron Brew Scottish Challenge Cup, for some weird reason, the SFA opened it up to teams from England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Republic of Ireland. So, East Fife are always crap in this, and we get put out in the early rounds. This time, because we're on our good run, we've made it to the quarterfinals, where we're drawn away to Irish club Bohemians.
Oh, sweet.
But Bohemians' season ends 3 weeks before the tie is meant to take place.
They'll be out of shape.
No, they're saying we can't play the tie, we don't have any players. So they're now having to postpone this game until March next year, when the Irish season starts again. So they've had to put the whole cup competition on hold.
Oh, that's so weird. I don't even know why they would do that then. That's
bizarre.
Steve, it's never like Michael's told us, or
What?
it's not like Michael's not hasn't told us a story in the past.
Yeah,
that was
I don't-
awkward about East Fife.
I don't know.
I want a trip to Ireland, I might go over for it now.
Why not just pay them a per game thing or something like that? I don't know. That makes no sense.
Bizarre.
I want to update a little bit on the East standings. Obviously, you mentioned Atlanta and New York are vying for top spot. 3 through 5 is still up for grabs for seeding. New York is at 53. Philadelphia is at 50. They're actually playing each other. And DC United is at 50. They are going away to Chicago. So they're all three of those teams are in, but it's just a matter of where they're going to sit. Obviously, Columbus still can catch them as well. So actually, if you think of it, 3 through 6 is potentially still up for grabs. Columbus and Montreal are still vying for that last spot.
Yeah.
Columbus is hosting Minnesota. Montreal is away to New England. So you think, it was a last-minute penalty that Orlando.
95th minute for Orlando, yeah.
So that kind of cost them there, but I think Columbus can pull it out and still,
I think Columbus
defeat
have
Minnesota.
got to be the favourites.
Yeah, at this point.
Which would then mean there'd be no Canadian teams in the playoffs.
And Don Garber gets his wet dream come true.
Yeah, but it's hard to grow interest in the league then if that happens. It's like...
You mean continue to grow, because the last 2 years have been pretty heavy on Canadians contributing to dynamic playoff experiences.
Last bit of MLS chatter. There was lots of talk when Wayne Rooney came to DC United this summer. He was past it. Why would you want to play like that here? 12 goals now since joining in the summer.
Is that better than Didier? I can't remember.
I think it might be. Oh, did you see Didier's goal?
No.
In the USL playoffs.
Oh, for
free kick from about 35 or 40 yards out. Yeah, absolute beauty.
One of the games he played in.
Yeah, he's written a thing for the USL soccer website about his career winding down and stuff. But yeah, I mean, Wayne Rooney has been phenomenal since he came here. Helped DC get into the playoffs. We've always said we don't want one of these aging guys. Now he's not old. He's still in early 30s. Should we re-look at that policy, or should we be building around young DPs?
You're talking about the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Whitecaps.
Yeah, the Rooney thing. Okay, yeah. There's a couple of factors. One, he's over 32 or 33 or whatever, but he also started playing at 16 at a high level in a lot of games. So I know that was a concern for a lot of people. But you do have there are some players where you know what their levels are, what they're capable of, what they are, what they might contribute on and off the field or whatever. And Rooney seemed, and maybe this is contradicting stuff I've said in the past, but Rooney seemed like a fairly, at least maybe not a safe bet, but like I think you would feel better I think you felt positive that things were going to turn out rather than thinking that they were going to go bad. But you got to figure things out, because when you look at, there have been guys they brought over that were not good or mixed. So you look at Steven Gerrard in his time in Liverpool, or his time at the Galaxy was not good. And you talk to players.
And then you look at Frank Lampard, who had a whole different mindset, came and played on turf and did all these things, and
he had a bit of a mix, I think, because of the issue of not coming right away and whatever.
Oh well, yeah.
But like Gerrard. It was good off the field in terms of selling shirts and tickets probably for them, but the on-field thing did not work out because it felt like his heart wasn't in it, which you could have some way predicted. If Steven Gerrard, he's like a Liverpool player through and through and all that kind of stuff, where with Rooney, like, he's younger and he's played at multiple clubs, and you've seen him give his all for two clubs.
One of Steve's boys.
You've seen him give his all.
I think it would have been a difference if he came directly from Man United to DC. I think that would have, maybe he would have been the same as Gerrard, the kind of thing where he was leaving, but he had that moment, that little time in Everton or whatever. I think a guy like that. It all depends on like you said. It depends on the mentality the guy comes in with. Rooney seemed to lift everybody up. And the play that you're always gonna single out is the one where he chased back the guy.
Yeah.
When
Osted was in the
Osted was in the box,
Osted.
and the coach is going, "Why is he up there?" or something like that. And it was making Ben Olsen was saying, "I don't know why he went up there," but Rooney came back, tackled him, and then sent in that beautiful cross, and it was finished, and they won the game. That really right there is the kind of season in a nutshell for Rooney and what he meant to the team after.
I'll be honest, he has made me rethink whether it would be worth bringing someone like that. And Kai Kamara has as well.
You got to be careful, though. You got to be careful on who it is.
Has to be
you got to
right
talk
guy.
to the guy.
Has to be the right fit.
Tell
has
him
to be
you're
a guy
not
that knows he's playing on turf.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You got to let him know you're not playing on grass.
You explained that turf is not grass.
Yes, exactly.
No.
Barry Robson.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think yeah, and also it's the situation, because I think with DC, one of the things was it wasn't just bringing in a big player or whatever. It was like being able to say to him, "Hey, we want you to help open our stadium. Like we want you to help set the tone." You look at a team like San Jose; they could have done that, but they chose to stay with Wondolowski as like the guy who will help them move into the stadium. Like Vancouver, I think has an opportunity. Despite the grass and other things working against them, they have an opportunity because they. I missed that. What was that gesture?
Grass.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. They have this opportunity because they're at a place where they need to kind of redo the whole club, right? Like they really need to shake things up significantly.
Just rethink everything.
Really,
Yeah.
totally. And I mean,
Expansion 2.0 for the Whitecaps. That's what it kind of feels like.
Yeah,
it almost is.
I hate that
It's-
language, but yeah.
So, last thing in this part, we briefly mentioned the USL there and Didier Drogba's goal, but have to give a huge shout out and a huge well done to Alan Koch, Spencer Ritchie. FC Cincinnati got their first ever playoff win on Saturday. They beat Nashville 6-5 in penalties. It was 1-1 after extra time, both goals coming in extra time. It was 0-0. Spencer Ritchie was man of the match, had a number of fantastic saves as Nashville nearly pulled off the shock. They play Red Bulls 2 now next Saturday in the Eastern Conference semi-finals. So Alan's done great there. Spencer's done great. He was kind of splitting time a little bit with Evan Newton.
But he
Evan
took
Newton
over.
Looked like he was the starter, but then
he took over.
He's made the number one spot his.
And he's been named Player of the Week sometimes.
Player
or
of the
something?
Week. He's had lots of Man of the Match awards. We
Is-
do not have him back here.
Is that the
next year.
first Whitecaps loan that's worked out for the player?
It seems to have, because it hasn't gone great for the guys down in Fresno.
It didn't
David
look-
Norman's
yeah.
only really playing under 20 football over at Queen of the South, which at least is playing.
It didn't look like it was going well at first, like you said. It didn't. It looked like it was going to be another one of those moments, but it worked out well.
Yeah.
And I think he will. They'll probably make a transfer deal where they trade him, and then they don't pick anybody, or they force him to pick somebody from our team to get him off our roster.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. You can have Spencer Ritchie for
you
free
have to
if you
take him
take
some
Ritchie.
No, Breck Shea won't be.
Oh yeah, Faris.
FURs.
Yeah,
Blundell.
there we've solved it. Sorry, Alan, but there you go. I'd hope to get Spencer on the show tonight, but unfortunately my voice wasn't up for doing a phone interview, so we might be getting him on the show next week. But that is it for this part. We will be back with the final part after this.
Hello, it's Kai Kamara, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
It's like, I don't care about nothing, man. Roll another blunt. Yeah. Oh, good. La da 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 da. La da da. La da da da. La da da da. La da da da. Yeah. I was gonna clean my room until I got high. I was gonna get up and find the broom, but then I got high. My room is still messed up, and I know why. Why, man? Yeah, cause I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high.
Steve's selection there,
I thought it was appropriate for this week.
because the Whitecaps are on a high after storming
Legalization.
back. Oh.
Legalization in Canada.
You are listening to the
Oh,
AFTN
you have been
Soccer
sick.
Show.
You haven't even realized that happened, did you?
No, I've hardly left the house in the last 2 weeks. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. Now it's time for my favourite part of the show. It's Wavelength time. And this might surprise you. We're going back to a punk band. We're going back to 1979. And it's a Dutch band. They're called Speed Twins. And I think this just sums up how I'm feeling after the Whitecaps season. This is We Hate Football. Speed Twins there. We Hate Football.
I didn't like the beginning of that.
Red is the colour.
Yeah, whatever.
John O'Flynn would like that for wearing red next week. And if we're talking about wearing red...
He messaged back and said, no, not black. You have to wear red.
If we're talking about wearing red, Canada, let's just quickly mention them. Great win for the men. Highest ever home victory, which surprised me because it was only 5-0.
And it should have been more.
Yeah.
They needed it to be more.
Well, at this point, because it's the 5-0 win, they are sitting third behind Curacao and Haiti.
And they needed to be, 8 or 9 to be top?
Top six
they
goes
needed
into the next round.
No, but I mean the
Nations
goals.
League.
Another two would have been tied for the top, and they actually would have had more because they would have had more goals for.
Yeah.
So 2 goals would have been
Two
more.
goals,
No,
okay.
would have been enough to be top spot. But the problem is the next 2 games are going to be the toughest. They got to play St. Kitts and Nevis. That's
Atiba
just
Harris,
one
baby.
country.
Atiba Harris.
And then they got to play French Guyana.
Do you see Atiba
those are
Harris's goals? So there were some nice ones.
No.
Yeah.
If they win and draw one, they should be able to get through in the top 6.
I think Atiba's enjoying the Nations League.
I think if they have to win both, I don't think they can afford it.
No. You remember all we played a team from the Pot D. This game was against Pot C. Now we're going to play Pot B, which is St. Kitts and Nevis.
There's too much pot.
And then we're going to be playing Pot A. So all the Pot A teams have to play each other too. So they're all those teams that you have a high goal differential. They're going to be playing each other at the end. So Cuba's got to play. Curaçao's got to play somebody in that same group. We're actually playing one of the weaker top A teams, French Guiana.
Oh, right.
Because they're like right now in 16th spot right now after playing their weaker games. So everybody's playing even games and everything like that. So I know it seems like the first two games was more important to get the goal differential up, but the second ones are the ones that are going to be the more important ones.
I don't think you have this in headlines, Steve, so I apologize if I'm reading headlines, but I didn't see this one. Have you heard some of the feedback about the Nations League?
No.
In CONCACAF?
No.
I can't remember the whole story, but basically there's a significant, let's say 9 or 10 nations in CONCACAF that have just said to CONCACAF, we don't want to be part of this. We can't afford this. We can't afford to be traveling for all this.
To get hammered, yeah.
Well, I don't even think it's to get hammered.
I don't think they can afford beer.
I don't think they can afford to get, is what they're saying. So, which really sucks because this seems to be going
well.
well.
That makes sense though as well.
Well, the Nations League seems to be going well in Europe, but that's because they're starting at a defined point. What's happening right now with the Nations League is qualifying. Right? It's
yeah, and of course your boys are going down.
It's been fun to see people.
You're going down with Dominica, down with Dominica.
Oh man!
If Scotland get promoted, we might end up playing each other.
In like how many years?
Group B.
In how many years? But no. So I think there could be some interesting things that come of this.
Yeah.
Or they could revert to like old CONCACAF ways of being like, okay, well, once you're in this pot, then we'll just have a tournament on this island. You all show up and we'll save some money that way.
See,
or
in
who
Europe,
knows?
I think it works, though, because you do have the promotion and relegation through it. But here, it seems farcical. And obviously, you haven't sold it to the Canadian public. Just over 10,000 turned up. It looked even less, but obviously you don't see what's behind the camera. Because we had it on, my wife's like, there's no one there. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. You could hear very clearly what chants the Voyagers were doing because the stadium was so empty.
Yeah, I don't know. There might have been a game, it could have been a Maple Leafs game that day. It could have been a Raptors game. I think they opened their season this year. So
why
who
would
knows?
you have it in a CFL stadium, though? I mean, they should have had it in a soccer-specific stadium.
You mean like BC Play?
Yeah.
As Javinko says, there's just too much sand there.
Definitely.
If it's not good enough for Javinko.
It's not sure to be good enough for us.
And big hat tip as well to the women. They've made it to the World Cup alongside Scotland.
No, yeah.
That must be a big achievement for them.
Scotland?
As reported.
It's huge for Scotland.
As reported in headlines last week.
Yes. Hopefully, it was, as we talked about last week, it's disappointing. I'm really disappointed that Christine Sinclair did not get more goals.
Yeah.
But
I
really hope she'll still
They
be
lost
able to
the
break
final
record.
to the States.
2-0, I think, right?
Are we ever going to beat the States?
Maybe Har's the reason they're not winning, man. Maybe she needs to not go to these games.
Maybe. She's in Wisconsin just now.
Yeah, she's watching a baseball series. Milwaukee, LA.
Oh,
weird.
It'll hopefully they do it at the World Cup, Steve or Mike. That's the answer.
Yes, that would be the time to do it.
Yeah,
knock them out in the quarterfinals would be the best.
Well, they almost had them in London. If it wasn't for that whole.
Well, they did cheat.
The Americans?
They held onto the ball too long.
Oh, please.
Anyway, now it's time.
Okay, wait, 1 second. How many times have you seen that called since then?
I think in the Evil Stick First Division game between Dulwich Hamlet and Tunbridge Angels.
Right, so one other time. And how many other times has a keeper held onto the ball for 7 seconds or longer?
A lot.
Yeah.
Well, they usually get a yellow card when that happens.
Yeah.
Not a free kick.
Cheats never prosper. Anyway, now it's time for BC Soccer Web headlines.
Just get or bronze medals.
Who wants bronze? Now it's time for BC Soccer Web headlines. BC Soccer Web, your one-stop site for local, national and international news, stories and links. Make it part of your daily routine, morning, noon and night. BC Soccer Web headlines. What's been catching your eye on the site this week, Steve?
Not too much because I knew you were not going to feel well as you're walking away right now to cough in the other room. So, first story is a little follow up from actually back World Cup time. Iran's hardline prosecutor slams doors on Iranian women attending football.
Did he slam it in their faces?
Basically with the words, yes. There was a friendly against Bolivia this week or whatever last week, and a handpicked group of 100 women were allowed to attend the friendly. They were female women's players. They were journalists. They were friends and family of the Iranian Football Federation. Kind of, they got like basically friends and family there, and it was a women's only section. Next day, the prosecutor general warned it will not happen again and will arrest anyone who allows women in the stadium. So he basically shut the door there. He says that they watching half-clothed men will lead these women into sin or something to that effect.
What does the Iranian national team wear? What's their strip like these days?
It's just shorts and socks and sure. That's all it takes for them, apparently.
That's unfortunate.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's like everything that's happening in Saudi Arabia just now. The WWE is meant to be going back for a big wrestling event there at the start of November, but
those guys wear nothing.
Yeah, but the women aren't allowed to go
to the
actually.
arena.
The women wrestlers can't even.
Yeah.
So they're not allowed to even travel to Saudi Arabia because they don't allow women's wrestling.
And they were in one Arabian nation. They did go for one match, but they had to wear a full outfit, like not like full like from bottom to top, completely covered except for the hands and the face.
So again, okay.
But I will be just to let you know, I'm going to be actually canceling the WWE Network before that pay-per-view as protest.
And then signing up again after?
No, I don't think so. Okay. I'll be done for that for a bit. Another person who might not be playing in a certain country is Artur Turan. He's being loaned right now to Istanbul's Besiktas, and he got in a little trouble at a nightclub.
I think that's understating.
Yes. He's been charged with sexual harassment, unlicensed possession of weapons, causing intentional injury over a fight he had with Turkish pop star Berke Sahin. Apparently, his wife claimed that Turan had harassed her in the nightclub with suggestive remarks and then headbutted her husband during the fight, the ensuing fight. Turan has also been, this is the weirdest one, Turan is also accused of going to the hospital where Burka was being treated and firing his gun in the air, which is odd that he did that. But yeah, he could be, prosecutors asking for a 12-year jail term, which kind of does seem excessive, but anything over 2 years and he'll be banned from playing in Turkey for life. So not a good decision on that night.
It sounds crazy. Like, sort of, have you guys?
And he's a pretty decent player.
I don't know that I can't remember the names, but I don't know if you guys have been following what's been going on in Russia. To kind of high profile guys.
Oh yeah, I was gonna put that in, but that was one of the final cuts. Yeah, they got in a skirmish and they're kind of facing.
And they're from different clubs.
Yeah,
there's some I mean, footballers need to understand that they're accountable for their actions, and so these are kind of shocking things. Yeah, it's weird that he would even get in the situation. But okay, here's another. Here's a little bit follow up on the Save the Crew story. It was in the Forbes. It was by Bobby McManaman. He talked about some of this stuff. First of all, a statement from the Haslams. Quick statement there. We value and appreciate the benefit of professional sports in the sports franchises can bring to a community and are hopeful to be part of the solution to keep the Crew in Columbus. We would invest a strong infrastructure within the Crew organization. And they go on and on to that. They're also looking forward to seeing how the process evolves. Now, what the breakdown is, and this is not
incredible.
This is what people are talking about. Apparently, Columbus will pay an expansion fee.
I know what.
Hell? I'll explain to you why this might be work for everybody. In fact, the Crew 1.0 player staff agreements and all the other stuff, property rights, will be transferred to Crew 2.0. It'll be transferred. PSV, which is Precourt Sports Ventures, and Austin FC will, instead of receiving selling the club or whatever, they will receive a part of the expansion fee as compensation. So essentially what this is, and this will actually benefit the rest of MLS as well, because they essentially is moving still the Columbus team over in a way, but all the Columbus stuff stays in there, and then you just get another expansion team.
So this is a look at what we predicted was going on. This is MLS's hand being shown that they had a deal to make this all happen, and this is how they're gonna be able to monetize keeping Columbus in Columbus.
And essentially,
it's crazy.
It's essentially they've given up an expansion. Like the Haslams are paying Precourt's expansion fee. Yeah. Essentially, that's what it is. But Precourt gets to keep part of it. So that, and also, if you think of it,
insane.
All the other MLS clubs will get part of it too, because if it is,
that's why it's happening. Yep. That's what's we talked about this I think a week or two ago. That's what's keeping some of these MLS sides going, is the fact that they're losing crazy money on the operational front, but they're making tons of money on from some, and so this will keep happening as long as people keep supporting it. And so I think supporters really need to continue to take stands against these kinds of things. What I want to know and I want to see happen is what happens with that lawsuit with San Antonio. That'd be because this you're seeing this playing out. Yeah. If you're them, you got to be like, okay, you got to show us the money now because you screwed us.
Yeah, they're one of the forgotten teams in all of this.
Oh, and then if Austin's getting an expansion team or whatever, there's a new team going to Austin. Then not only the San Antonio issue, but then you look at Sacramento and the other teams.
2 weeks ago, you're screwing Sacramento, who's probably got no chance now. I feel
I have zero chance. And the thing is, my question is, if Columbus, the players stay there, but Austin's not an expansion team, are they going to go through an expansion draft? How are they going to acquire players? Are they just going to they're just going to create a brand new team or whatever?
I think they need to kill the expansion draft. But
yeah.
The little bit of CPL news. CPL is zeroed in on 7 teams for 2019. As a quote from David Clanahan, "We are zeroed in on the 7 teams. Obviously, I wouldn't say it would take a minor miracle, but it would take something very innovative to happen very quickly to add an 8th team to 2019."
I like the language of zeroed in.
Yeah.
So
and miracle.
I am concerned that I wish they could get that 8th team. I wish they hadn't put all their eggs in the basket for Ottawa, or had done a little bit more investigating to see if they were interested and gotten maybe more from a response.
Oh no, that's the thing. They were interested. They were at the table all along. Mm-hmm. It's they don't like elements of what the CPL is doing. Again, hopefully one day we'll be able to talk about this in more detail. But you just got to follow the money. Who's making the money? Where they're making it? Who stands to lose money from them being? And things get a lot clearer. But hopefully down the road we'll be able to spell that out a lot more.
We could still do our Kickstarter for East Van Fifers.
You could.
Last story we have is also from the CPL. And
some wonderful news, I feel, to finish off with.
Yeah, they're going to create the CPL U Sports Draft. It's going to occur on November 12th.
The day after the Nationals, so it's going to be here in Vancouver.
Cool. We get to see a draft. Mm-hmm. So what it is? So I'll go over
that Don Garber.
So I'll go over some of the details. It's going to be obviously for the student athletes who have not graduated and still have years of eligibility to return to the university and continue in the sport. If they're drafted, they will then be signed to a CPL team on a standard development contract as provided by CPL. Any drafted player that returns to the university following CPL season continues to meet the eligibility rules will go back into the CPL draft for the next year. So if you go back to university, we'll go back into the draft. Let me finish here. Yep. Student athletes will be released to return to U Sports team on August 15th. Once the U Sports team has completed their competitive seasons, playing commitments, student athlete may rejoin the team until the CPL playing commitments are completed. I copied and pasted this one, so that was a weird one. Development contracts expire on the day after CPL team is finished with CPL or they're playing with commitments. So essentially, it's if a player's graduated, they get to go wherever they want.
Yep.
If a player's
or wants to leave early.
Yeah. Or if a player isn't graduated, they get to go to a team, play for the summer, earn some money, and then go back into university.
So I think this is a really positive step by U Sport and the Canadian Premier League, especially keeping the eligibility thing. So they have not done like the Americans and had these extremely rigid eligibility rules, so that's great. My question is, though, if if someone is taken in this draft and is contributing to a CPL side, well, there's no way they're going to go back to play for their school team because the CPL season is supposed to go April to October. And the U Sport season will
be released
they could
early,
yes.
or they could be released towards the end in time for the playoffs. So you could have a guy like, say, Tommy Gardner, lighting it up here. He hasn't decided yet whether he wants to continue in college. He's just year one at UBC. He could go and play the summer instead of playing PDL with TSS Rovers, go and play CPL, and then come back either for the whole college season or just towards the end and then play in the playoffs.
Well, the CPL season is going to end before the university season starts.
No.
If I'm not mistaken, or no?
No.
It'd be a little
April to
overlap.
October.
The U Sports season is
right.
September and
Yeah.
October,
Okay.
with the playoffs going into November.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if the player is not getting enough time or something, and they'll just release him to university, I'm sure there'll be some arrangements
but
like that.
some of, I mean, I think this is more for like year one, year two guys that maybe also aren't getting a lot of minutes anyway with their teams.
With their university
Yeah.
team? But if they're not getting minutes with their university team.
But it's an extra body or squad player for a CPL team.
A lot of coaches, any level, are going to play their veterans.
It depends
and their guys
what
they
level
trust.
the CPL is really going to be at. Is it just going to be initially a glorified PDL? Because PDL is quite good quality. Because you've got some of the top college players playing in it.
Is that commentator bias, Steve, from Michael?
It seems like it.
Possibly.
But no. But you're right. The CPL is
Yeah.
going to start at a certain level with the intention to grow from
I'd
there.
say it's probably going to be higher than PDL, but when you look, obviously we're only looking at the players that's in the trials. These are guys that aren't really that well known. They're going to add a lot more players. You've also got the likes of, for example, the SFU players. A lot of them have their eyes set on CPL. They can't qualify for this draft because of the NCAA eligibility. So those guys are more likely to just give up playing at SFU and go and play CPL. So you're going to have those guys. You're going to have a lot of other guys that have played in USL and stuff like that as well. It's how much better than PDL it's going to be is what we're all going to have to wait and see in year one. I genuinely don't think it's going to be that much higher than, say, the top PDL teams.
So you're saying between PDL and USL?
Yeah. I would seriously be amazed if it's even at USL quality.
But it all depends. It's like
USL has quite a range in quality, to be fair.
True.
But yeah, I know what you're saying.
True. Like if you look at the top to middle of USL, I don't think it's at that.
But it all depends also on the quality that they play. Like the style they play, they can actually make it look a lot better than it is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I go and watch VMSL most weekends and you see some fantastic games, but no one's saying that's
but
top-level football.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, you're right, Steve. There's more than just the play on the field with this. And, it's.
It's a slow build, and everybody has to
Yeah.
realize it's going to be a slow build because that's the way you build a league. If you don't want to jump into it and then use all your funds in the first couple of years, then you have nothing to look
on the
at
team side, but on the supporter side and on the community side.
Oh, you could build that really quick.
Yeah, you long
That's
for them to
totally different.
because if communities choose to be a part of this, then that will enable the level of play to grow even quicker.
Yeah, definitely. And players will be like, "Oh, I really like the atmosphere. I want to go and play there."
Speaking of
atmosphere,
speaking of university, any updates on SFU? They're
SFU
on a roll.
won their latest GNAC. They're still unbeaten on the season. It's 13 or 14 now. I'm kind of losing track. UBC lost their first match today because they just played the Fringe guys. It was the last regular game of the season. UBC are hosting their quarterfinal of Canada West on Saturday here at UBC, 6 o'clock kickoff. SFU are at home on Thursday night as well, 7 o'clock up the mountain. Get up and watch some fantastic stuff.
Did you say Gignac transferred from Tigres to SFU?
He has, yeah.
Oh, okay. Speaking of atmosphere, I've watched some games of the Goats this year. Not obviously as closely as I did today's game, but I thought the atmosphere in the stadium was pretty good in the supporter end. But it's kind of dead.
Ferrell.
It's kind of dead in the rest of the stadium.
But they were showing
there's some empty seats as well.
I think they were sold though.
The problem is also that they were showing. I understand Will Ferrell's in the crowd, but they were showing way too much of the crowd during the play, that irritated. I don't know if that happens.
I don't know. Well, my favorite part of it was all the all the flag waving during play.
Yeah,
I'm
flags.
sure you'll love that. You see that?
I saw that. I was appalled.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure the people behind there, they must have been just exiting the stand.
As I tweeted out, let's get Seth Rogen involved, capoing for the Whitecaps. Although Peter Zimmerman did send me a tweet saying that would be the wrong thing, that it would be nice if owners and the likes of Mallet, Steve Nash, Seth Rogen would do capoing.
Seth Rogen is the owner?
No, I was pushing him to be an owner. But if these people would come and capo without needing to get up on the big screen and get exposure and stuff.
Oh, you're talking about Nash, obviously. Yeah,
just do it for the love of it. But anyway, that is it for this week's show. Just before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
For me, it's at Zachary AM, and I'm a part of the Movement Curve Collective.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada, on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. You can probably find me sucking a fisherman's friend as well this week. Read all our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. And until next time,
wear black.
Wear black. Thanks for listening. Take care, all that stuff, and on the Black Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
AFTN.